Okay, kids, another installment of RoxburyScience. Say hi, dog. Dog. Say hi. Yeah, she don't care. All right, so anyway, this one's kind of geared towards field ecology and physics. I'm going to talk a little bit about this thinking medieval torture device, wood splitter, and also a little bit about something called dendrochronology that we're in the forestry unit here. What it is, it's chronology, obviously the sequence of chronological order, sequence of events. Kind of holds true when you look at the life of a tree. Dendrochronology is something we would have done if we would have been in class. I've got tree cores that actually would core in from the side, and you could find out a cross section of the tree rings here. And what's kind of cool is that if you look, this piece of old red oak here, I'm pretty sure it's a red oak anyway, pretty old red oak, is you obviously can see the rings all the way through here. Okay, I got a hard time seeing a stupid light. And you look, obviously here these rings are quite large in the beginning, and there's a couple like right in here where they seem to be a little closer together than they are over here. Now obviously there's things that go on with that. Has to do with, that could be weather conditions, drier years, shade, you name it, whatever else. But they can use that, and this is a bad year right here, if you can see that. Ooh, the thing went through, that was a bad drought or something went on. Who knows? God, if you count back, that's probably about 100 years ago. Who knows? Didn't count, and you can see here's a really, really good year. Look at that, baby. Look at the difference right there. So again, scientists will use this. They'll do dendrochronology to figure out what happened historically with weather conditions. And what's really cool is that they even have cored out logs and timbers that they've used in medieval structures and even in Roman times. And there's theories that they've used dendrochronology to figure out why Roman civilization, really petered out around 500 AD because of... they really don't think it was because the Visigoths came down or whatever else and wiped them out. It's because they've looked at the tree rings and saw that there was some really bad stuff going on for a couple of decades in Rome, and they started starving, and that's when the Goths or the Gauls, whoever it was, came down and wiped them out. But it's really kind of cool. You can use this to really tell what happened in history and in the life of this tree especially. Now, if you look out here, what do you notice about the rings there? What do you think all the trees around it were doing also? They're all getting bigger. So what was probably going on, and this goes back into the succession thing, is that this is probably back in the 1800s when we still had the oak savannas. And then you get out in here where, the oaks kept on growing and growing. Nobody, the fires didn't take them down, whatever else. And so now you actually start getting forests to show up, and they shade each other out. And so look at the sides of the rings there. They're tiny. I can't even count those. So anyway, basic idea of dendrochronology, kind of cool. Been really cool to do some tree coring with you, but hey, this works too. I'm going over to the instrument of death over here. This thing, as you can see, it's going to split all my wood I started. And if anybody wonders what I do with my life, okay, that's all got to get split, stacked in a pile, carried in with those stupid little boxes there into my wood stove. And so you wonder why Mr. Marks still is kind of a svelte little thin dude after all these, well, okay, not thin, but I'm not fat. So anyway, yeah, it's because I do this crap all the time. Anyway, this thing right here, physics-wise, it is using hydraulics again. Look at the size of this cylinder in here. And it goes back to the same basic principle as we talked about with the brakes, or maybe you didn't see the brake video yet. But here's a little 8-horsepower motor. It's hooked up with this tiny little device right here. That's a pump. Okay, it spins very, very fast, and there's little impellers inside. Actually, probably rollers that just squeeze the oil and shove it through this line here. It's hard to see because of the light. Goes through here, and then the oil then comes in this end. And because you've got a piston in here of a fairly large surface area, small surface area down there, remember, you've got the more surface area you have, you got more area, you can eventually get that much more force pushing this darn thing down. And it's a big piston. I think this thing does like 25 tons worth. Yeah, you don't want to get in the way of it. Well, reason being, you've all heard this story. Doing the last wood chunk one year with my daughter. She was running the lever for me. She was like 8 years old. I was standing here, and I threw the last chunk down. I set it down, happened to have my fingers in here. I held it up, last chunk, set it in here, and before I could say anything, she pulled the lever, and my hand was in here between the chunk and that, and yeah, it actually split the chunk, and the pinch was so bad it actually crushed. I don't know if you can see there's a scar on that finger because it split. It split the flesh. I mean, oh my God, I almost passed out. I had to put my feet up. It was horrible. It didn't break anything, but the worst pain I've ever had in my life. And last thing with this stupid thing is that Mr. Marks' World, okay, this has been around since I was a kid. My dad bought this when I was in high school, and he bought it because he told us when we cut 2 semi-loads worth of wood, split it by hand, load it in semis, did that all we were like in high school, because he promised us when we sold it, he was going to buy us a snowmobile. So in the way the world works growing up, so we were all excited. We split wood by hand. It took us forever. I was in high school, just working my tail off. Anyway, lo and behold, he shows up a week later. Guess what he's got instead of a snowmobile? A wood splitter. Bought it from the neighbor. Got a heck of a deal. And the kids are like, didn't you freak out? It's like, you just didn't freak out. That's just what you dealt with. It's kind of ironic. So you split all the wood, you get this wood splitter to split more, and no snowmobile. So anyway, hey, I suppose I could fire this stupid thing up once and just run one chunk here quick. Give you an idea of what goes on. Okay, hopefully you can see all this. Put it on my melon. Fire up the old beast a little bit, give it a choke, get a little more fuel. Great! One more freaking thing to fix. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Alright, on that note, Mr. Marks signing out. Looks like I gotta do some more fixing today. Okay, later.